Hello, this video is a quick demonstration of our Mastering Cosmetology app. If you're interested in the Mastering Aesthetics app, you're in the right place too. The questions might be different, but all the functionality is the same. So let's get started. This is the first screen that you'll see. You can select your own exam length from 5 questions to 100 questions. For our demo purposes, we're going to stick to 5 questions, but it'd be worth doing a couple 100-question exams because when you go for your state boards, the exam that you face is going to be about 100 questions long. So it just gets you used to that length of an exam. So nothing tricky here really. You're just going to answer the question and then press next as you would expect to get to the next question. I just wanted to point out, if you look at the bottom, we're currently in the exam module. We've also included a review module. And on test day, you're going to probably have something similar. A lot of these testing centers have software that allow you to review your exam before you submit it. So we just wanted to include that so that it simulates what you're going to experience on the day and hopefully better prepare you. So I'm going to go through now and mark some answers. I'm going to actually mark this one for review. This one I'll skip. And now here on the last question, you can see I can either end the quiz up here, or there's also an end option on the tab bar. I'm going to mark it for review and then go into the review module. The review module shows you all the questions you've skipped or marked. So I'm going to check out my skipped question and answer this one. So it's no longer a skipped question. Going into my marked questions, I can change the answer. I can also uncheck it, so it will no longer be marked for review, but I advise against that because that mark for review will show up in the results too, and you'll be able to see questions that just gave you pause and maybe you weren't terribly confident about the answer. And it's kind of better to know when you were guessing, even if you got the guess right. So I'd advise that you keep it marked. So because I've kept it marked, it'll still show up when I go back and check out the list of marked questions. And while I check out the other question here, another piece of unsolicited advice for you. What I found and what a lot of people I've spoken to have found is that the first question on their test tripped them up. It was harder than they expected. So whenever you encounter a question that's difficult, the best thing to do is just take your best stab at it and then mark it and continue on, because you're going to find a lot of questions that are just really simple to answer off the top of your head. So you don't want to get stuck too long on a tricky question. Just move on, mark it, and move on. I could go back to the exam at this point, but I'm just going to finish the exam. And it's letting me know that there's a couple marked questions outstanding. It'll also let you know if there's anything that's been skipped. I don't want to review anything, so I'll just select finish to get to the results. So you get the overall score, 60% in this case, and then you have the questions that you can review by these categories. If you're feeling confident about all the ones that you've answered correctly, no need to review them. You can just go and check out the ones that were marked incorrect. So here you can see the answer that I chose incorrectly, sternum, and the answer, clavicle. I also include the NIC reference and the source. The source is the textbook that we sourced the question from. The NIC are an organization that puts together standardized tests for a lot of different state boards in a lot of different states. So if you're wondering if this is the right app for you, then one thing you can do is check with your instructor or check with your state's site on cosmetology licensing. And it should mention NIC if you're going to be taking the NIC standardized test. Even if you aren't, it still may be appropriate for you. It depends on the subjects that you're expected to know. And you can find out what subjects the NIC covers by going to their site and looking at the outlines for their standardized tests. And I'll be sure to include a link to that site. And just heading back to the test results now to show you that there's a way to access your test history as well. And here it is. Hopefully your overall average will be much better than mine in preparing for this video. You can also go into the exams that you've taken before and review your results there. So now I'm just going to go back to the test I just took. And I want to show you something else that we often include on the answer pages. And like for this question, notes. Whenever we think the answer could use a little more explanation or a little context, if there's any ambiguity, we just like to include some notes. And sometimes, like in this case, we actually found discrepancies between the textbooks. So we just like to give the students a heads up that there are some differences between the textbooks. And at any point when you're done reviewing results, you can always just go back to the start page by clicking the Start tab. And we're back where we started. If you have any questions or feedback, please get in touch with us. We can be reached at support@masteringesthetics.com or support@masteringcosmetology.com. We'd love to hear any comment you may have. And that should do it. Good luck with your exams.